Okay, we're set, Bill?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. We're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 9th Finance Committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin by taking roll call. I see Alexis Kim, Councilman McPartlin, Brian Backus, Councilwoman McGraw, Janet Nguyen, John Lenolin, Laura Robertson, Matt Yetto, Michelle Martinelli, Bill Lawrence, Dan McManus, Councilwoman Jaquith, Paul Briggs, Ray Smith, Stan Faminsky Jr., and Supervisor Syed. There was a phone in with an ending number 08. I don't know if that person wants to identify themselves. Oh, John, thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Okay, I'd like to begin with approving the minutes. The minutes that were distributed of the May 12th meeting. Do I have a motion to move the minutes? To approve the minutes, rather?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, that carries.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
It's Rosemary.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, but before we get in the bulk of the meeting, I just wanted to touch base on the email that I sent a little while ago about the proposed task force on racial equity and justice. Just because I think Matt Cutler, I'm not sure if he's on the call. I did get a email from Letitia Barnett that she was not going to be able to join us, but just wanted to touch on that really quickly before we, get into the bulk of the agenda. So, like all of you, I've been thinking a lot about what I can do to effectuate change. And I know a number of you were at the rally on Sunday, and I know you're all committed to this cause. And so, as I said in my email a couple of hours ago, I'd like to propose this task force. And let me just read what it was in the email. So, the task force would be a group of stakeholders that will provide guidance to the town board on establishing the mission, goals, strategies, and performance measures for the town of Niskayuna's commitment to equity, eradicating racism and discrimination, and serving justice. And I propose some potential action items after, again, talking to some stakeholders, including, as I mentioned in my email, Letitia Barnett, who's the Chief Equity Officer at the school district, who's been engaged in this kind of work over the course of the last year. And she's, is going to be a great conduit for connecting us with, minority residents and with our students and our young people. Who should definitely be part of the conversation. Anyone who was there on Sunday can attest to the fact that they are the leaders and should be, involved, very much involved in the conversation. And then also Matt Cutler, who we all know is a great community leader and has been brought in to, help us all in a variety of ways. I don't know if he's joined us now or not, but just wanted to, put that out there. I know we're all committed to this. We should, and so wanted to, engage on some input on the action items. And we don't have to do it now, but we can do it over the course of the next couple of weeks with a hope towards, doing something concrete, bringing this task force forward, implementing it, and hopefully, getting it going by our town board meeting on June 30th. So I just wanted to say those things. And like I said, we can have exchange and dialogue about what the action items could be, should be, et cetera, over the course of the next few weeks over email. But just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Certainly. So am I hearing that you want to add an item, establishment of a task force?
Yes, so, right, and I emailed about it around a couple of hours ago. So I'm proposing the establishment of a task force on racial equity and justice.
Okay.
And again, the details are in the email from a couple of hours ago. But again, evolving, work in progress.
Okay. All
Thanks.
right. I'll move on to item A, the budget modifications that were circulated. The only one really that exists is for the funding of the difference between, well, to make up the difference to the actual bid amount that was received. It came in a little above what we expected. And we went with Josh Hawley provided a allocation based on utilization to the different funds. And I'm proposing unreserved fund balance at this point. And this would be enough to cover the completion of that project at the substation for the fueling station, which I
Yes,
know is
Paul,
needed.
Paul, could
Yep.
you just describe that for me, the fueling station? Because I was looking through the background and how the allocation was divvied up, and I didn't know what it was for, and then how the division of funds was, determined.
Actually, Matt would be better. He's kind of spearheaded this this whole project as far as putting the bid together and identifying the sources of revenue other than these. So I don't know, Matt, if you can respond to that.
Yeah, the allocation was based on the consumption of fuel by our fuel billing software can track who's using the fuel. So based on the amount of fuel used for each department, that's how the allocation was based upon.
Do you want to just step back for everyone and explain what this project is and the need for it?
Thanks, Denise.
Yeah,
Sure.
I heard you, Rosemary.
Yeah, I thought you were giving the big picture too. Go ahead.
The existing water and sewer maintenance facility, the fueling station there is utilized by the fire district number 1, primarily by the Niski Unit Police and the water and sewer department. That was and it will be taken offline when the building is demolished. So we were able to obtain a grant for $125,000 to cover the majority of the cost of the work to install a new fuel tank at the highway department for shared use by water and sewer, highway department, and fire district number 2, and also serve as a backup for the police department. And a new fuel station is being constructed at the River Road Fire Station that will be utilized by Fire District 1, the town offices, the building department. I guess they're electric now, but engineering, and then also the police department. And an existing diesel tank at the highway will be modified to be converted to straight diesel instead of half diesel and part gasoline for use by water and sewer and highway. So it's a consolidation of fueling. It's an efficiency project to share the expense across the different departments and between the two fire districts in town.
And what
Yeah, sorry, to allocate, I was wondering again how the allocation, because I see there's a big chunk of money out of highway, and I've heard mostly it sounds like it serves the, the water and sewer and police. So just wondered how the allocation was made, $20,000 out of the highway fund.
So a new gasoline tank will be installed at highway for shared use by highway and water and sewer, and the existing diesel tank and the gasoline tank at highway will be converted to street diesel, so to increase the amount of diesel fuel available for both departments. It also has a new fuel monitoring system which will allow the departments to track their fuel usage. Currently, the highway is using pen and paper. Their system is obsolete and has been offline for years, and ours is not too far behind it for the water and sewer. And it would also provide a secondary fueling, like I said, for the police too, based on where they are in town. We've had situations when one system's down, the police are able to utilize highways, but not very easily. But it's all interlinked through the internet, and the fuel management software will allocate proper funding, proper charges to each department for their fuel consumption.
I understand that part. I just don't understand the part about the expense outlay, you know, coming predominantly out of highway. And Ray, you can jump in here if you want. But yeah,
I think, Rosemary,
But you're not looking at the different districts, Rosemary. Right.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I see that there are other districts. I just see it again. I didn't know what this was. That's why I asked the question about what it was. But it looks like there is money coming out of the other district, but the majority looks like it's coming from highway. Am I reading it?
So 10 or 11 is coming from water and sewer. The 17
From
so
general
correct me
fund,
if I'm wrong, is, you know, general government, so that's the police
Right.
and everything else.
right?
And then 20 is highway, and that's based on vehicles, right, Matt or Sylvester or somebody?
I wasn't involved in the allocation. Josh handled that because I didn't have that detail. But as Matt said, there's software upgrades that are specifically for the highway existing diesel tank that's being enlarged in capacity, and the new tank that's added is for highway use. Also, they have gasoline pickup trucks, so the highway is getting a lot of benefit. I can't really justify the breakdown. Josh handled that, but I know there is a great enhancement to the highway system now, which Matt is telling us is on, you know, pen and paper, and a much smaller split tank, which will be converted entirely to diesel, and an additional gasoline tank added. So we can look at the numbers again. It didn't catch my eye as being outrageous, but I didn't really verify anything.
Paul, for the highways benefit, I mean, my tanks are sufficing for what I use. I could just get an upgraded pump system with the keyed codes. What I don't understand, like, I seem like I'm paying for a majority of this, whether it's for vehicles or not. I mean, the water and sewer is the one with no place to get fuel, not the highway.
Yeah, I hear you. The majority is coming from the grant, but I don't know what the software component is. We can look at the numbers, and you know, it's not being approved tonight. If you want to look at them and closer, you know, and find detail and see if I didn't look at the allocation. It was based on gallons. You're getting a brand new gas fueling station at the highway garage. At some point, that split tank, I don't know when it was installed, will be obsolete, and there will be a newer gas fueling station at that point, and you are getting new software. So the value of that to the highway fund, we can look at it closer.
Maybe some additional information would be good. Oh, sorry, just some additional information.
It would just amount to an allocation, maybe more to general fund or more to special districts, but sure.
Thank
you.
Looking it over.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I have an addition to the budget, Matt. The Water and Sewer Department is asking for $5,000 to come from a capital outlay to an equipment line for dehumidification repair. And that did not make it up. I wanted to bring that up.
For what location?
For dehumidification, it's Water 018320, I believe.
For the water treatment plant.
The water plant.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Paul, your voice is doing what it did at Economic Development Committee last time. Do you want to try quickly learning in and out again? Do you remember when you got all gravelly?
Oh, is it breaking up again?
A little.
I can convert to phone if that, or I can sign on and off if that's, if you want to hold on a sec.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds exactly like what happened at EDHP on Friday morning. It's what it sounds like. I don't know why you're not in the same place.
I'll jump back on. Just give me 30 seconds.
Do and see what they say about change and listen to the people and get it done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Excellent talk, Mr. Davila.
Is that better?
Mr. Speaker, on the bill.
I get a yes. Okay. Great.
So far, so
Sorry.
good.
Okay, the second part of the budget modifications that wasn't, well, I guess it's the third part at this point, that wasn't listed was adding the additional sanitation measures that have continued, I guess, for highway garage vehicles. I think we're going to go over there, and there was been some disinfecting at the parks, and I know at the parks, we still have $5,500 left in contingency. I can include that, the highway vehicles fund balance. I just don't know the proposed long-term schedule to kind of try to minimize these going to the wells. So I don't know if Supervisor or Alexis has some kind of projection she can
Yeah, we're
provide us.
into the phased reopening plan. Hopefully everybody can hear me. If you can't, just let me know. I think we're more than likely going to hit pause on the weekly cleanings unless they're requested. So unless the department specifically requests that they want the cleaning, it seems like for the most part, departments are handling the disinfection on a daily basis. And what we're looking at doing now is before we reopen to the public, and also before we reopen the senior center, that's when we're going to do another. So we shouldn't have any further expenditure for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll have another final meeting. For the time being, whether it's from contingency or fund balance, related to the COVID.
You're having a bit of the same problem I had with the breaking up of your voice from my end. So I guess if I can get some kind of proposed or, projected schedule, I can try to accommodate all of it in one budget modification and go to contingency if it's enough in the general fund and fund balance in the highway fund, and add that to these modifications for the fuel station after we fine tune them and the waste and the water treatment plant. I think that's it for budget mods. B is a discussion regarding the extension of vacation buybacks. So resolution 2021-22 extended the time frame whereby employees could draw down their vacation to the maximum amount of 7 weeks. That would pertain to the CSEA white collar and non-represented employees. And there were some 10 or 12 people that fell into that category. And the one thought was all of this happened after the required application date for the 1 week vacation buyback. So if we also extended that date, we would potentially bring down that vacation balance that people are probably going to have a hard time getting to 7 weeks. And even at 7 weeks, some people earn 5 weeks and they'll be in the same boat next year because they'll have 12 weeks to use by June 30. And that's, so rather than have this roll forward, the thought was maybe, of course, in an additional cost, allow the extension of the vacation buyback application timeframe until whenever, the end of June, I guess, would be real tight, or July, or whatever date. So I didn't know if there was any interest in that. Some people didn't apply. And Janet, is it a May 15th cutoff on the application date?
For the non-reps, it was May 15th. For the CSEA admin, I believe it's June or July 15th.
So they have a lot, they still could apply. I guess it would open it up for a few people. You're just looking for ways to, get these vacation balances down. Otherwise, we're going to be, like I say, in the same boat next year.
Hey, Paul Sylvester, quick question. I'm just looking back at the resolution cited. So that resolution, that just gave you the ability, or the eligible employees, the ability to carry over more than the 35 days of vacation past June 30th. It didn't also extend the buyback date. So you're saying we need to.
It didn't, and it would have been nice if we thought of that then, but we, yes,
Yeah, I
it
thought
didn't.
that was implicit. So I mean, I guess if you're going to try to
It's a different date, so I don't know how it would be implicit because the date, I don't know, if you feel it's implicit, then we don't need a resolution, but it, to the application date is different than
Come here, Momo.
they're different dates. But if you want to look at it, if I'm reading it wrong, but otherwise, I don't know what the town board's pleasure is on extending that buyback option.
And what did you say the cost associated with it is, Paul?
It's hard to determine because no one may accept it, or it's a week per person. So could be $1,000 to
Sure.
$2,000 a person.
So could we, if we are going to consider this, do we want to put a little process in place where you'd open it up and get a handle on who we're talking about and who is interested? I'm seeing a long email here, must be from Alexis. And then you
Yeah,
could
that's
put
a good
dollar
idea.
amount to it, and we would have some
Sure.
time prior to 5 o'clock before the meeting. If you gave us a couple of weeks or a week or so to look, to review it, and perhaps we would have to talk about it, again in a meeting,
Right.
workshopping session.
Right, I could reach out to employees and see what interest there is and kind of do an informal deadline and go from there, put a number on it.
Right, put out an email and say you'll give folks until X date, and then that would give you enough time to tabulate
Okay.
what it is and share that information with us and put a proposal forward.
All right.
It's just
Yeah,
easier
it's
to respond
hard.
to a proposal.
Yeah, this is a kind of an open checkbook kind of thing, and I
Yeah,
understand.
I know several of us that are on the list have already put in for it, actually. So you would have to check with Margot, because several of us that are on the list put in for it prior to the deadline anyway. So you really.
Well,
Not that list.
but those people aren't in question.
Yeah, I still am, I believe.
You put in before the deadline, you're saying,
And before the deadline to sell a week, and I still have to use like 18 days or something.
but we're not suggesting
saying-
selling 2 weeks, so you can't do anything, you're already done.
But when you look at the 12 people that are affected for the extension, I'm saying, some of us
Oh,
have already put in for that buyback, so you have to back
So,
up.
yeah, I still don't know the number, so we'll
Right,
have
but
to
Janet
get a
is
number.
saying that we're closer to knowing the number than not knowing
Right.
the number. So, right, Janet, is that what you're pointing out to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, I
Correct.
hear you. All right, we still don't know the number, though.
We
You
do
want
not.
a number. Okay,
So,
I
but I
can-
would put
I
it
can-
out that, people are willing to consider it based on what the number is. I don't want people to think, tell us if you want to buy it and thinking they're going to get it. I don't want to disappoint people, Paul.
right. No, I won't commit to it. I'll say that the town board is considering, and I'll get a solid number together,
And
not to
and-
exceed.
Right, and again, you would just have to remind us again, because it won't be tonight, what the benefit to the town is for this.
Well, yeah, the benefit is that I believe you're going to be in the same boat come June 30 of 21, that people are going to have a hard time getting their vacation down. There's people that have 10 weeks right now, so they have to use, it's not hard to, well, I don't know. We're just getting back in the swing of things, departments are very busy, and to get 10, 12 weeks down to 7 by December is a major achievement. And then all of those people that have those high balances are going to get 5 more in January. So they're going to have 12 potentially January 1st and have to draw 12 down to 7 in 6 months. There's 5 more weeks in the first 6 months. It's a lot of vacation. That's the problem I anticipate. Trying to solve a problem before it happens. Okay, I'll get it all together and present it a little more concisely.
Thank you.
C, we handled in economic development, so that's, that should have been omitted. D, Tarpon Towers, who just put the cell tower up at the highway garage, has offered a buyout, as do many of the cell tower lessees, and they are offering $220,000 lump sum payment for a permanent easement to that site. It's kind of standard with the rest of the deals I've seen, and I'm not in favor of it, but I just wanted to make you aware of it because I did present it. It typically they take a 7-year accrual of the revenue stream, and that's the amount they offer. So to some it's desirable. It would go to the general fund, which, as we all know, has quite a fund balance. And these offers don't typically go away. They're kind of open-ended offers. I get calls from the different carriers on the water tower, but we haven't been in a financial situation where we've really been in need of a cash inflow like that, and which would result in the revenue stream ceasing forever. So I'm just throwing it out there. 220 lump sum payment. If you want to discuss it, there's no end date on it. But that is an offer they're presenting.
But as you said, these deals seem to go on for a long time. We don't need to take this today. And
You don't, but I'm just relaying. I'm relaying information.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but I can understand that some municipalities might be in a place where they need that, but that's not us. We'd be better off staying where we are and continuing the yearly payments.
Definitely, and then some cell tower sites are held by private businesses. They're not all municipal owned. So, and they even like the sounds of this even better. So just keep in the back of your mind. I didn't encourage them. I told them our situation, that we do have a sizable fund balance, and that the revenue, the steady revenue stream is desirable for us at this time. That was basically my response.
Next time, Tom, we need to make Verizon make it work better for people in the town.
I agree. Hence my choppy voice. Okay, in addition to that, Sprint has a contract that's expired, and we need to get on it immediately. I kind of fell off the radar. It is a contract that dates back to 1999. It had 4 automatic renewals, minimal increases, and they're the lowest. They provide us with the lowest amount of all other carriers. So this might be a job for Alexis or whomever wants to tackle it. I can take it on, but it needs to be addressed. I do have the agreement, the existing agreement from '99, and I don't know, Alexis, if this is something that might fall in your bailiwick.
When does it expire, or has it already?
Done. Now, just expired, and I just received their annual payment, which almost got deposited, but I held it.
Okay, yeah, if you send me the agreement, Paul Briggs or I can take a look at it. You're saying that can you just describe the action item? So what is the service that they're rendering us?
Sprint leases cell tower space from the water tower at Bettis Hill.
Got it. Yeah, if you just send it to me, Paul Briggs or I will do that. But if someone reaches out to your office, just let them know to contact Paul or I.
No, they like it the way it is, and I think they're hoping that we didn't notice, but sorry. We noticed. Better late than, no, it's not really, it's just a little late. It should have been negotiated before now, but not that big a deal. Okay, Spectrum update. I don't know, Alexis, again, if you have anything on this. We just kind of discussed it recently. I don't have anything.
Nope, we don't. I think we left it off at Public Works Committee that I was going to try to prepare just a short update to be sent out to let everyone know the status. which I'll get you this week.
Okay, we have a few items referred from public safety regarding the lock system. I have no information on that. I don't know if the chief or Ray Smith, I know Charlie Bergami was working on it. We were looking for alternate proposals. Has there been any movement on that? Anyone?
So it's my understanding that Charlie has gotten the one quote. The second vendor he requested a quote from hasn't gotten back to him in months. But everything on the first quote, all the parts and everything is on state contract.
And what is that figure right now?
I don't have the quote. I think Paul submitted an initial, or Charlie submitted an initial quote. But then I think Paul had asked him to go out for additional quotes as well. Although
And that was due to the requirement of our purchasing policy because of the dollar value. It was approaching 30,000, I believe.
Yeah, it was around 30. That's my recollection as well.
So I don't know if one formal written quote is adequate. I guess the town board can override their own purchasing policy, obviously.
If it's on state contract, does that have any bearing?
Yeah, I guess that does look like, that is a bid. So, yeah. I mean, we don't have to go any further than that. But we typically do, even if it's on state contract, because I gave Charlie a list of a dozen vendors, many of them local, that were also on state contract. They're all on state contract.
Okay. I think the original vendor he had, I think, was Sonatrol, who handles the fire panel as well as what we have existing in place. So I don't know if that's relevant as well, but we don't want to wait too long on it. I don't think the malfunctions are popping up on the system, and we don't want to get to a point where, we have doors that won't open or doors that won't stay locked.
We've already waited too long, I think. But I mean, if the board's okay with moving forward, it is a bid on state contract. There's no, absolute requirement to do anything further.
There's a state statute that exempts items purchased on state contract from the requirements of bidding or proposal. It's in the third paragraph of our purchasing policy. So it doesn't.
Yeah, it's already bid. It's just that at that dollar amount, we usually, look a little further. But we can move forward with Sonatrol if that's the desire.
I supported the additional bids. I think, Charlie's probably not getting calls back because of the COVID situation, but I support getting additional bids. It doesn't hurt, but I know this has been hanging over us for a long time. So it's really just a matter of, whether we want to continue to, press it, which I'm fine with doing, but we probably should maybe do a drop dead date, just sort of a, time when, okay, if we don't have anything further, we got to get this done.
By the meeting date, if you don't, I mean, one way or another, pass a resolution at the end of the month, this meeting. I know it does enhance the system also with additional security of unsecured areas now. So I'm in favor of, that aspect of it too. So I guess give Charlie those marching orders if he can't get anything by days or a week before the meeting date, that will go with Sonatrol. Okay. All right. B, under public safety, authorization for education reimbursement for Morrow Officer Patrolman Walters college courses. The PBA contract allows for reimbursement of courses, job-related courses, and I guess she's taken a whole bunch of them. And I guess part of the problem is the funding of them. I don't know, they came to over $3,000, Chief, was it? And we didn't have a book amount.
Yeah, I have to find the exact numbers from her, or the paperwork she gave me. The tuition itself was $3,535. There were a lot of other dues and fees in addition to that, but I think the contract says just for the tuition of courses taken. These were all taken in furtherance of her degree toward Homeland Security. I have the description of the courses. If you give me just a second, I can find it. Immigration law and border control, ethics and criminal justice, community-oriented policing, and global terrorism in the 20th century were the 4 classes she's completed this last semester. So the only number I don't have is for her books that she had to have for the courses, but I can get that all for her, all for you before the board meeting. The issue is just the budget. I mean, I can find the money in a training line and make budget mods, but then you know, I may end up going over budget with other things in that line.
That's not finding the money.
Well, it's fine.
Well, we've never had anyone go this aggressively at college courses, I'd have to say, but how it's subject to budget constraints. So whatever the board's pleasure is, as far as coming up with that amount of money in one semester, but I don't know.
If Paul Sebesta can find the money, I mean, that would be great. So Chief, that sounds to me like she's going full-time to school. Is that?
So it's 12 credit courses. She does it online.
Okay.
It's full-time.
And she's been doing it prior to working here, but right through the academy, she did it as well. I don't know if I have the transcript in that paperwork. We did discuss this in committee in January when she was going to begin the semester.
What
So
does
I
the
guess-
contract provide? Sorry, what, you know?
Yeah, I can, because I'm looking at that and I have questions too. So the contract provides an annual salary benefit. So this is bachelor's of $900. And then it says it should be paid on
That's
January.
after the degree is, after she receives the degree. This is,
Yeah,
Right. That's for any officer who receives a bachelor's or an associate's degree.
correct. And then the section right after just says each member shall be reimbursed tuition and books cost for accredited college courses for which other reimbursement is not available for town board approval, for town board approved job-related courses taken and passed. So did she take the courses already? Or I
She
mean,
has.
how has that been interpreted? So is it 2 separate entitlement? One is reimbursement for tuition and books, and the other is if you just were taking, you know, a la carte, taking job-related courses taken and passed.
Anytime someone has asked for approval to take courses, it's gone through committee and then paid at the completion of the courses. We've had several officers over the years go ahead and do this. The benefit for the degree is separate and distinct from that. Any officer who comes into the job with that degree or earns it through the years is entitled to that benefit annually.
so I think ideally, rather than the committee approving it, it would be the town board approving it and finding the funds before the commitment is made. Because they're the ones that are, you know, tasked, or the supervisor's budget officer, with funding this reimbursement. And it has happened over the course of years, but one course, I don't even know if there's been 2 courses at one time. Funding of it hasn't been an issue. It hasn't been $4,000, but, you know, again, I can work with the chief. I don't know of a pool of money, like contingencies already. We're already tapping that. We're at our last $5,500. We just talked about using it for sanitation.
Right. I think just going forward, I think we can accomplish that with the board. I know it's been just done in the past with committee approval, and this was approved by our committee January 7th.
For one course, not for a full-time, I just didn't expect it, but
Well,
good for her.
we need to update our policy then, and if that's the case, we can do that in the future. But for now, the situation that we're in, I think we have to press forward. I think this officer was anticipating that these expenses would be covered and was never told that they would not be.
Well, it says town board approved courses, so you have to approve them in advance of taking them. Not
You said something else before that seemed more explicit, that there was permission needed, Paul. However you phrased it was a little different than the way you just did.
well, as Alexis read it, it's for town board approved courses, and I understand it went through committee, but I would think the more proper way to do it would be to have the board approve, somehow be involved, approve them, make a budget modification in advance, know what the commitment is, rather than the committee approving them with expectations.
Because it seemed you would make the budget mod at the beginning of the semester, and then you wouldn't make the payment until they pass the course.
Well, you don't have to make the budget mod, but just have the town board on board with the commitment that's being made.
Agreed. So it would be, this isn't going to require a change to our PBA. Obviously, that would be subject to bargain. We just want to internally figure out how we're interpreting that. But
Right.
with respect to the request made in January, kind of piggybacking off of what Councilman McPartland said, is that I think any policy we develop would have to be prospective, because we already kind of gave the officer representation that the process was just going through committee.
Oh, I understand. So I'll just have to work with the chief and come up with some money, some solid money, not shell money. Shuffle it around money. Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Item C is a resolution to compensate certain officers for time spent obtaining antibody tests. We had 4 or 5 maybe now officers on A-line that were tested, participated in antibody testing and submitted, overtime requests. 3 out of the 4 were a half hour and 1 was an hour, basically. There's no provision to pay that, so I'm looking for approval so I can make payment. We're not talking about a lot of money, probably just roughly, I would say $250 range plus benefits. It's, it'll come out of the existing overtime budget, which is funded, and we've been staying within for the most part.
This was in regards to the memo that went out that authorized that came from the supervisor's office, correct?
Yes, there was a memo that went out that we discussed at the June 12th finance meeting. And I raised question as to the authorization to issue the memo. But nevertheless, here we are, and they're looking for payment based on the memo, and I'm looking for authorization to do so.
Well, we have it in the memo that came from the supervisor's office. How are we going to go backwards on that?
I'm not proposing we go backwards, just pass a resolution authorizing the payment, and kind of in concert with the supervisor's memo. That's all.
I think that's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah, and that'll land that. Just an update on antibody testing. Jan and I did have a conversation with our contact at the county regarding the proposed new antibody testing that has better accuracy beyond the 50%, and they're still waiting, and they're still going to contact me when they arrive, and even when they come, they'll probably be in limited quantities as far as having a clinic. We are still keeping that in the back of our mind to offer a clinic at Town Hall whenever that is possible to make it more convenient for employees to participate. It still stands that unless you're paying out of pocket, the tests have to be ordered by a doctor. As far as I'm aware, nothing's changed there for the healthcare for CDPHP to cover the cost of the test, which I'm pretty certain that these were ordered through, you know, a doctor, and I don't think they paid out of pocket for them.
Paul, you should talk to CDPHP. Did you talk to CDPHP? Did they tell you that?
Yeah.
I did. I talked to CDPHP, and they said unless it was proven to be medically necessary,
Okay.
and they had doctor documentation that it would not be covered. And if in fact they got that documentation and it is covered, it does come off of the town's portion of the deductible. So the town would actually be paying in full for the test.
Okay.
So they're $100, whatever they are per test. And the problem right now is they're not very valid. They had, what was it, Janet, the county, the sheriff's office, they all were tested and they all went in for COVID test after they had.
Every single one of them had a positive antibody test and then had to go and get a COVID test because of the positive antibody test. And I believe none of them came up COVID positive, but it cost.
Right. That's what they said. So you're getting inconclusive results that are, I don't know. I don't know the value of it at this point, but nevertheless, I guess it was worthwhile for them to go, and we'll pay for that time. Moving on to 4 from referrals from transportation, a permanent appointment of a grounds worker who has successfully completed the probationary period. I don't have a name, Janet or Ray.
I believe it's Andrew Visco.
Okay.
We also will have a resolution coming from Public Works Committee that's not on the finance agenda to permanently appoint their insured maintenance worker whose probationary period is about to end as well.
Oh, okay. And from Economic Development, authorization to purchase New York State code books for the building inspectors at the cost of $1,387.36. Which there's a recent revision. I know I just came out sometime, I think recently, the beginning of June or the end of May.
May 15th, yeah. And we had I think we put $1,400 in the budget extra because we knew this was coming. So I think it was covered by the additional money that we added into the budget. It just goes over my signing authority, so I can't pay the invoice.
All right. So you got $13 to kick into one of our other endeavors. Okay. And that is all I have. Are there any other items for discussion?
I don't know if Supervisor Syed was going to bring this up. I don't think it requires a budget mod, but with regards to the status of our purchase of the touch-free thermometers, we authorized the ordering of 35. I'm not sure if they've arrived yet. I know we sent in
yesterday.
They arrived?
Yeah,
yesterday.
We only got 27.
Oh, it's 27. So we only got 27 because they were out of stock, or we didn't end up buying 35.
Because they were more than the $2,200. The quote that Brian had got for the thermometers, the guy told him he was going to hang on to the thermometers, but he didn't, and he let the thermometers go. And when I went to make the purchase, all he had left was thermometers that were a bit more expensive. So I said to him, well, I have a $2,200 limit. Send me as much as you can for that $2,200. And with the shipping, it ended up being 27 thermometers.
Well, this is
hopefully, oh, go ahead.
So our Amazon business account was finally approved by 2 months later, meaning that now we get priority access to COVID-19 supplies. And so there was seven touch-free thermometers. It's free shipping. They're the same quality that should be coming tomorrow. That totaled $320. So I don't know if that will require, it's a reimbursement But that will make up for the ones that were lost at a fraction of the cost.
And Charlie purchased some additional from EA Morse as well, and we have those in stock now. I don't recall the number that he got, but we received that shipment late last week, I believe.
We can coordinate, because I think we should have a policy, internal policy regarding temperature taking, and just so it's very clear for employees and for members of the public who's responsible for what. So before they're distributed, I think maybe we can touch base internally.
Yeah, and they need to be noted that they're town of Niskayuna property. And we need to know what departments that they're going to, so I can charge them back accordingly, because I'm charging everything to shared services right now because I have no idea where to charge it to until we dispense stuff. So I'm rating shared services for masks and gloves and thermometers, and we're going to have to pay that back at some point. You know, the departments that take the items are going to have
They're going to water, sewer, all different departments. So we're going to reallocate the expense when we know exactly where they're going. And I'm hoping that these supposedly better quality, more expensive thermometers may last. And I was hoping we might get by with less of them, because we did factor in some replacements due to breaking. So I don't know if that will help us in needing less, but it sounds like we're getting the same number. So maybe they'll just all last longer.
One thing to consider is for our entrances of our buildings, and perhaps outside the boardroom once we reopen for public meetings, is they have on Amazon Business, and I believe Schenectady County Manager had mentioned that Schenectady County was looking into this. They have these wall-mounted thermometers, scanners. So basically, when you walk by, it tells you your reading, if you have a fever or not. And they seem more functional for large crowds.
Right.
And they're like about $150 each, so they're about double the price of the handheld ones.
More practical for that court application, certainly.
If we wanted to, I don't know if it doesn't require a resolution, because it would be below the purchasing policy threshold. But is that something that the town wants to consider investing in for at least the town hallway, vestibule, water and sewer garage, highway, court?
Hey, Alexis, just when you develop your policy, if we could get together, just because we'll have, the midnight guys coming in at 11 and then the Beeline personnel coming in at 7 a.m. So I just want to make sure that we have certain people authorized to be taking temperatures. I know the deputy chief certainly doesn't want to have to come in at 11 o'clock and then again at 7 in the morning.
Okay, is there any other business that I haven't addressed? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to call the meeting to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
See you soon.
Thanks.